Legal Tender Act, 37th Congress, Session 2, Chapter 33, February 25th, 1862. An act to authorize the issue of United States notes, and for the redemption or funding thereof, and for funding the floating debt of the United States. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that the Secretary of the Treasury is hereby authorized to issue, on the credit of the United States, $150 million of United States notes, not bearing interest, payable to bearer, at the Treasury of the United States, and of such denominations as he may deem expedient, not less than $5 each. Provided, however, that 50 millions of said notes shall be in lieu of the demand Treasury notes authorized to be issued by the Act of July 17, 1861, which said demand notes shall be taken up rapidly as practicable, and the notes herein provided for substituted for them. And provided further that the amount of the two kinds of notes together shall at no time exceed the sum of 150 millions of dollars, and such notes herein authorized shall be receivable in payment of all taxes, internal duties, excesses, debts, and demands of every kind due to the United States, except duties on imports, and of all claims and demands against the United States of every kind whatsoever, except for interest upon bonds and notes, which shall be paid in coin, and shall also be lawful money, and the legal tender and payment of all debts, public and private, within the United States, except duties on imports and interest as aforesaid. And any holders of said United States notes depositing any sum not less than $50, or some multiple of $50, with the Treasurer of the United States, or either of the Assistant Treasurers, shall receive in exchange therefor duplicate certificates of deposit, one of which may be transmitted to the Secretary of the Treasury, who shall thereupon issue to the holder of equal amount of bonds of the United States, coupon or registered, as may by said holder be desired, bearing interest at the rate of 6 per centum per annum, payable semi-annually, and redeemable at the pleasure of the United States after 5 years, and payable 20 years from the date thereof. And such United States notes shall be received the same as coin, and their par value, and payment for any loans that may be hereafter sold or negotiated by the Secretary of the Treasury, and may be reissued from time to time as the exigencies of the public interest shall require. Section 2. And be it further enacted, that to enable the Secretary of the Treasury to fund the Treasury notes and floating debt of the United States, he is hereby authorized to issue, on the credit of the United States, coupon bonds, or registered bonds, to an amount not exceeding 500 millions of dollars, redeemable at the pleasure of the United States after 5 years, and payable 20 years from date, and bearing interest at the rate of 6 per centum per annum, payable semi-annually. And the bonds herein authorized shall be of such denominations, not less than $50, as may be determined upon by the Secretary of the Treasury. And the Secretary of the Treasury may dispose of such bonds at any time, at the market value thereof, for the coin of the United States, or for any of the Treasury notes that have been or may hereafter be issued under any former act of Congress, or for United States notes that may be issued under the provisions of this act, and all stocks, bonds, and other securities of the United States held by individuals, corporations, or associations, within the United States, shall be exempt from taxation by or under state authority. Section 3. And be it further enacted, that the United States notes and the coupon or registered bonds authorized by this act shall be in such form as the Secretary of the Treasury may direct, and shall bear the written or engraved signatures of the Treasurer of the United States and the Register of the Treasury, and also, as evidence of lawful issue, the imprint of a copy of the seal of the Treasury Department, which imprint shall be made under the direction of the Secretary, after the said notes or bonds shall be received from the engravers, and before they are issued, or the said notes and bonds shall be signed by the Treasurer of the United States, or for the Treasurer by such persons as may be specially appointed by the Secretary of the Treasury for that purpose, and shall be countersigned by the Register of the Treasury, or for the Register by such persons as the Secretary of the Treasury may specifically appoint for that purpose. And all the provisions of the Act entitled, "An Act to Authorize the Issue of Treasury Notes," approved the 23rd day of December, 1857, so far as they can be applied to this Act, and not inconsistent therewith, are hereby revived and reenacted. And the sum of $300,000 is hereby appropriated, out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated, to enable the Secretary of the Treasury to carry this Act into effect. Section 4. And be it further enacted, that the Secretary of the Treasury may receive from any person or persons, or any corporation, United States notes on deposit, for not less than 30 days, and sums of not less than $100, with any of the Assistant Treasurers or designated depositaries of the United States authorized by the Secretary of the Treasury to receive them, who shall issue therefore certificates of deposit made in such form as the Secretary of the Treasury shall prescribe, and said certificates of deposits shall bear interest at the rate of 5% per annum, and any amount of United States notes so deposited may be withdrawn from deposit at any time after 10 days' notice on the return of said certificates, provided that the interest on all such deposits shall cease and determined at the pleasure of the Secretary of the Treasury, and provided further that the aggregate of such deposit shall at no time exceed the amount of $25 millions. Section 5. And be it further enacted that all duties on imported goods shall be paid in coin, or in notes payable on demand heretofore authorized to be issued, and by law receivable in payment on public dues, and the coin so paid shall be set apart as a special fund, and shall be applied as follows. First, to the payment in coin of the interest on the bonds and notes of the United States. Second, to the purchase or payment of 1% of the entire debt of the United States, to be made within each fiscal year after the first day of July, 1862, which is to be set apart as a sinking fund, and the interest of which shall in like manner be applied to the purchase or payment of the public debt as the Secretary of the Treasury shall from time to time direct. Third, the residue thereof to be paid into the Treasury of the United States. Section 6. And be it further enacted that if any person or persons shall falsely make, forge, counterfeit, or alter, or cause or procure to be falsely made, forged, counterfeited, or altered, or shall willingly aid or assist in falsely making, forging, counterfeiting, or altering any note, bond, coupon, or other security issued under the authority of this Act, or heretofore issued under Acts to authorize the issue of Treasury notes or bonds, or shall pass, utter, publish, or sell, or attempt to pass, utter, publish, or sell, or bring into the United States from any foreign place with intent to pass, utter, publish, or sell, any such false, forged, counterfeited, or altered note, bond, coupon, or other security, with intent to defraud any body corporate or politic, or any other person or persons whatsoever. Every person so offending shall be deemed guilty of felony, and shall, on conviction thereof, be punished by fine not exceeding $5,000, and by imprisonment and confinement to hard labor not exceeding 15 years, according to the aggravation of the offense. Section 7. And be it further enacted that if any person, having the custody of any plate or plates from which any notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities mentioned in this Act, or any part thereof, shall have been printed, or which shall have been prepared for the purpose of printing any such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part thereof, shall use such plate or plates, or knowingly permit the same to be used for the purpose of printing any notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part thereof, except such as shall be printed for the use of the United States by order of the proper officer thereof. Or if any person shall engrave, or cause or procure to be engraved, or shall aid in engraving, any plate or plates in the likeness or similitude of any plate or plates designed for the printing of any such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part thereof, or shall vend or sell any such plate or plates, or shall bring into the United States from any foreign place any such plate or plates, with any other intent or for any purpose, in either case, then that such plate or plates shall be used for printing of such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or some part or parts thereof, for the use of the United States, or shall have in his custody or possession any metallic plate engraved after the similitude of any plate from which any such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part or parts thereof, shall have been printed, with intent to use such plate or plates, or cause or suffer the same to be used, in forging or counterfeiting any such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part or parts thereof, issued as aforesaid, or shall have in his custody or possession any blank note or notes, bond or bonds, coupon or coupons, or other security or securities, engraved and printed after the similitude of any notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, issued as aforesaid, with intent to sell or otherwise use the same. Or if any person shall print, photograph, or in any other manner execute or cause to be printed, photographed, or in any other manner executed, or shall aid in printing, photographing, or executing any engraving, photograph, or other print, or impression, in the likeness or similitude of any such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities, or any part or parts thereof, except for the use of the United States, and by order of the proper officer thereof, or shall vend or sell any such engraving, photograph, print, or other impression, except to the United States, or shall bring into the United States from any foreign place any such engraving, photograph, print, or other impression for the purpose of vending or selling the same, except by the direction of some proper officer of the United States, or shall have in his custody or possession any paper adapted to the making of such notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities shall have been issued, with intent to use such paper, or cause or suffer the same to be used, in forging or counterfeiting any of the notes, bonds, coupons, or other securities issued as aforesaid, every such person so offending shall be deemed guilty of a felony, and shall, on conviction thereof, be punished by fine not exceeding $5,000, and by imprisonment and confinement to hard labor not exceeding 15 years, according to the aggravation of the offense. Approved, February 25th, 1862.